Hello, I'm Arsen Kashian, head buyer, general manager here at the Boulder Bookstore, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Boulder Bookstore. I'm here with one of our beloved booksellers, Stacy.
Hello.
Hi. So, Stacy, what does it mean to be a bookseller? What does that? You just sit around and you get to read books all day?
It is a big title. And what it means to be a bookseller here at the Boulder Bookstore is that I get to talk about books with tons of different people every day, both my colleagues and the customers that come into the store. So it is a very fun job.
So you started here 9 months ago? How long ago about
Just
now?
about 9 months ago. Yep, after a corporate career of many years.
Yeah, so what did you do in the corporate world? Because we don't get that many people from the corporate world to come to the Boulder Bookstore and work for various reasons.
Right.
So what did you do in the corporate world?
So for many years, I was in sales training. I started in sales for Bell South, which was then purchased by AT&T. I went into sales training, and then I went into management and management training. So my last job before I left was with the Blanchard organization, where I was doing leadership development, hiring executive coaches to work with primarily Fortune 500 companies. So it's a far cry from being a bookseller in many ways. On the other hand, selling, dealing with the public, dealing with people, all of that are transferable skills that I think I've brought to my bookseller role.
Well, definitely. I mean, we're very happy to have you. You do bring a lot. So you were working with leadership skills. So how does, of a Fortune 500 and how a company like that is run and the leadership skills you have to bring to that, how does that differ than the Boulder Bookstore and what you see here? And afterwards, maybe you can give me some leadership tips.
So, I think it's probably scale more than anything. When you're dealing with a Fortune 500 company, you have thousands of employees. And what we were hired to do was to help, whether it was at any leadership level, it was to develop the skills that would both motivate and inspire the employees to want to stay with that organization. And I really think the same is true here, how the leaders of the Boulder Bookstores treat the booksellers. If the booksellers feel valued and that the work that they do is important, then they want to stick around. And I get the impression that what we do is important.
So it certainly is, or else, I'm buying all these books and they're not going to go anywhere if we don't have great booksellers.
Right.
And so, a lot of, like I said earlier, a lot of our booksellers come to us sometimes fresh out of college, often between college and graduate school. And this is, I don't want to say, it's not their first job usually, but it's maybe their first full-time job or the first job they're having when they're not also trying to juggle college. And here you've had this whole career. So how does that work on the sales floor? And do you enjoy working with people who are kind of at the beginning of their career, and do you feel you have something to offer?
Well, I do. One of the things that I think that we maybe don't think enough about is how we can distinguish ourselves from some of the online ways that people can buy books. And it's that human interaction. It's making people feel special. It's letting them know we would go the extra mile for them to order a book, to look for a book out of print, to have a conversation with them about a book that they're buying. One of the most fun things is when someone is buying a book that I've read and I get into a conversation with them and they get incredibly excited and ask for other recommendations. You're not going to get that when you go on your computer and order a book from this anonymous huge corporation.
So you brought some books with you.
I did.
So why don't we talk about a few of these?
I'd love to.
Yeah, all right. So what's on the top of the stack?
So the top of the stack is two little books, but two really powerful books, I think, by an author named Claire Keegan. And I read both of these books in one sitting because they're pretty tiny, but every single word on the books, in the books, was powerful. They stick with you. I think she is one of the best authors right now. She won the Orwell Prize, deservedly so. I highly recommend these books, especially for book clubs when you need a short read, but you want something that will give you something to talk about. These will do it for you. These are fantastic books.
I love them too. I read both of them. I thought Small Things Like These was truly amazing book, and she sees the best. She not just sees the best, but her characters are striving, I think, to be their best. You know, and at least some of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's, you know, in a way that you don't always see in great literature. And yeah, so I love both of those books. And also Foster was made into a movie recently.
I heard that.
You
Yeah,
didn't
I
see
think
it?
the
I didn't see
name,
it
I
either.
haven't seen it. I think the name changed. It's not called Foster. But yeah, I believe it was made into a movie. But I oftentimes don't like to see the movies because they can't live up to the books in my mind, and I have a picture of the characters, and you know, rarely does it meet my expectations. So I'd prefer to stick with the book.
All right. So what else you got?
I love Elizabeth Strout. I love everything that she has written. I think I've read almost everything. She is one of the most powerful authors I think we have that has just spanned some generations. If you haven't read her, I would start with My Name is Lucy Barton. I think that's a good place to start with her, but any of her books are going to be quick reads, but they'll stick with you. I love them.
Well, her books have a lot of connections, which I love. So My Name is Lucy Barton, and then there's O. William, and then there's a third one, Lucy by the Sea.
Right.
And I loved all three of those books. But her other thing that she's really famous for is Olive Kitteridge.
Exactly.
And Olive Kitteridge is actually in the same world as Lucy Barton.
Mm-hmm.
She's a very minor character sometimes in these books. And so as you read more Elizabeth Strout, it deepens and you really enjoy the world she's creating.
Yeah. There's that thread that goes through them all, but one of the things that I do love, you're right, the characters return again in them, but you can pick up one of her books. I don't feel like it's a book that it's like you have to start here or you won't get it. They can stand alone because she just has such rich character development, and I just think she's a beautiful writer.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, give us a couple other ones here.
So I want to go down here.
All right.
Let's go to a male author. I haven't talked about a male author yet, but I love Douglas Stewart's Shuggie Bain. It was my favorite read in 2021, I think is when I read it, although it won the Booker Prize in 2020. This is a book that will rip your heart out, but at the same time, I felt like he writes with such sly humor. It ended for me, I've talked to friends about this, on a really hopeful note, like such a tragic beginning and a tragic story of this young boy, Shuggie Bain, who, at least for me, I felt at the end, he's going to come out okay in spite of it all. But it is a really well-written book, and I think it definitely deserved the Booker Prize. I loved it.
Has working here changed your reading habits at all? I mean, do you read different books because you work here, do you think?
I think so. And well, one of the things that it's done is it's almost made me a little bit anxiety-ridden because of all the good books there are to read. Like, you get overwhelmed. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not shelving books or checking a customer out where I'm like, oh, that book looks fantastic. Why isn't that on my reading list? And that's there's only so much time in a day and night. So it has opened my eyes to more books. I tend to read a lot of fiction, and there's, a lot, and the nonfiction I read, I love John Krakauer. I like Pam Houston. I think her work is good. But there's a lot of history that I see coming across the register or that I'm shelving, and I'm like, I really need to read this book.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think it has opened my eyes and made me want to read more.
That's great. And you pass that enthusiasm on to people who come up to you at the register or ask you a question at the computer. And I see you do that. And that's a wonderful thing. That's one of the things that makes you a wonderful bookseller, is that you have that enthusiasm and you're very open to all sorts of things.
Thank you. And I pass it along to my husband, who, nudge, nudge. I'm like, you haven't finished that book yet? Hurry, I've got another one for you. But he's reading Fuzz. Mary Roach, which her books are fantastic, and he tends to read a lot of nonfiction, so I share those kind of books with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've been watching Inside the Boulder Bookstore with our bookseller Stacy today, and thank you for watching. And if you're enjoying what you see, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much.
And please come in and buy books from us.